Now, the upgraded version of indigenously developed PINAKA guided rocket system was successfully flight tested last week from integrated test range of the Odisha coast. Now, the multi-barrel rocket launch system PINAKA Mark II, developed by DRDO, is modified as a missile by integrating the navigator, control and guidance systems to improve the accuracy and enhance the range. PINAKA is capable of striking into enemy territory up to a range of 75 kilometers with high precision. The navigation system is also aided by Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, NAVIC. Joining me for more on this particular weapon system is a distinguished panel of guests today. Let me first introduce the guests to you, beginning with Dinakar Peri, defense correspondent, The Hindu. We also have with us Retired Brigadier Rumail Dahiya, a defense expert, and we also have with us Retired Major General Ashwani Kumar Sivach. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, General Sivach. Let's try and understand what exactly is PINAKA guided rocket system.
Vishal, you see, PINAKA guided missile system then basically is a multi-barrel rocket launcher which has got a launcher which has got 12 rockets can be fired, and in a battery there are 6 launchers and they can be fired within 44 seconds. So you can imagine that almost 72 bombs will be falling almost at the same point of time. Now, as far as PINAKA 1 is concerned, this need was felt, you know, to have your own rocket system somewhere in early part of 80s, but it did not able to materialize. But finally, it came slightly of the age in 99 when there was already there with us the PINAKA 1. It was tested in the war, and that was in Kargil war. We were not getting success there, and you were finding that the enemy had made some buckler, and it was very difficult to dislodge. It was either buffers or basically PINAKA which was used, and it was very successful. It found that, you know, it could destroy those bunker zones, and therefore in 2000 February, a first induction of this PINAKA regiment was done.
Okay.
And this was the start point. Now 10 of them have come by 2022. There will be 10 of them. Now 2 more are in pipeline. 6 more request has been already given. So these were basically private public sector. It was between Tata Power SAD as well as L&T and by the ordnance factory.
Okay.
Now this was the one which it felt it that it was a game changer. One is it is indigenously produced. Second thing is that this can make a havoc on the enemy territory, especially the built up area or gun position or rocket position or the troops in open, or you can say including that it can be utilized for laying the anti-personnel, anti-tank mines at short notice. So this was PINAKA 1. The range was only about 40 to 45 kilometers.
Okay.
Now the need was felt that once we have manufactured indigenously and we have a capability, that there is a requirement of increasing the range and improving the navigation.
Okay.
And hence the PINAKA 2, which we have now tested it in 19 December and 20th December in Barasol, Chandipur range in Odisha. This is the one where the ARD and DRDL, that is Defense Research and Development Laboratory in Pune, they both collaborated and developed a new weapon system which has a range of 75 kilometers and also a navigation system which is basically aided by Indian Regional Navigation Satellite, which is called NAVIC.
The NAVIC.
So it has also got 2 things. One is the range has become 75 kilometers, and second thing is that its accuracy is almost 60 to 80 meters on the target area.
Okay.
So this is a game changer.
Okay.
It is a force multiplier, and this is again indigenous. So this the point is the PINAKA 1 was indigenous, PINAKA 2 is also indigenous. There is an extended version of this is coming, which will have a range up to 90 kilometers.
Okay.
So overall, it's a very good weapon system. And when you add this weapon system with what we are now getting it over a period of time, you know, after Bofors in 87, we were not able to modernize the artillery of Indian Army because due to the alleged corruption charges. Now, 2 things we have also added. M777, which are lightweight howitzer, which we have got it 145 from America. And these are basically manufactured in collaboration with Mahindra Defense. And these are about 145, which will be about 7 regiments, which will be coming over a period of time. And then 4 planes and mechanized operation, we have taken K9 Vajra. This K9 Vajra is a South Korean. Again, a very important weapon which is there. We are now taking it almost 100 of them, about 5 to 6. So this has also come. And in addition to that, these two weapons, this weapon is a game changer. And then what we have done is, Beaufort we are not getting. So we have also indigenously manufactured Dhanush, which is a carbon copy of basically a Beaufort. So overall, modernization of artillery is on the track with these modern weapon system and PINAKA 2 coming, and thereafter, subsequently, we are even thinking of collaborating with Israel for PINAKA 3, range of 120 kilometers. So it looks like that modernization plan of artillery is on the right track.
Okay, so that's the overall picture of the artillery, as Jan Sivach has pointed out. Because let me bring you in here, and on the aspect of PINAK Mark II, which we're talking about right now, it also says that it has been upgraded and it has been modified as a missile by integrating the navigation and control systems. So what's the difference here between Mark I, Mark II, and how much improvement is there, would you say, from the field operation point of view?
You see, Mark I, the stated range was 38.5 kilometers. Roughly, we call it 40 kilometers. The modified one, which we are seriously working on now, is 65 to 75 kilometers. So on an average of 70 kilometers, let's say, maximum range. So from 38.5, it will go up to 70 kilometers. That's number one. Number two is, the PINAKA 2 rocket's nose has an antenna. This antenna makes it suitable for guidance. So what will happen now is that there are 2-3 improvements that are being made on the system. One, increase of range. So obviously propellant will change. Second thing that's happening is that it will be given a guidance system based on using NAVIC, and also simultaneously also employing Pathfinder weapon locating systems that we had got from America, as also a Swati missiles, which we are ourselves manufacturing indigenously, and an order for 28 of them have already been given. Also using Searcher 1, Searcher 2 and Heron UAVs, and also battlefield surveillance radars that are already in service. So what we are going to try to do is that using all these systems, we'll be able to designate the targets, improve its trajectory, thereby improving the circular error of probability, which is 60 to 80 meters now. It'll come down further. So the accuracy will improve, the range will improve, and another thing that will come into guidance subsequently is that mid-course correction will take place, because many a time what happens is that the concentration of tanks, for example, now that concentration, by the time you launch it, some movement might have taken place. And you want to carry out a certain sort of modifications with regard to the target designation or the movement of the target. So the best advantage that we will get by making it guidance, a guided weapon, is that we will be able to change the trajectory mid-course, thereby being more effective on ground. So therefore, range will improve, the circular error of probability will get reduced, so therefore the accuracy will improve, and we will be able to change the target or the coordinates of the target even after the weapon system has been launched. Now, the whole idea is this, of course, we must also understand that whereas it is a game changer, it's a very useful weapon, there are certain restrictions to the weapon. One is that the Tatra 8x8 vehicle makes a long chain. As a result, it can't be employed in all kinds of terrains. That's number one. Number two, in mountains, etc., where road infrastructure is not that advanced, its employment gets reduced tremendously. Third is that the ammunition is very expensive. Even now, when compared to Smerch, wherein one rocket costs about 80 lakhs to 1 crore rupees, although the rocket of PINAKA 1 costs just about 25 to 30 lakh rupees, an improved version of this with guidance part also being there in the nose of the rocket, the rocket is not going to come cheap. It is at least going to be 50 lakhs to 60 lakh rupees. My initial estimate suggests that.
Okay.
Secondly,
but still cheaper than Smudge.
Yeah, it's still cheaper than Smudge. Second is that when we initially bought PINAKA 1, its cost was 2.5 crore rupees per system when we placed the order initially for 40 of them, each with Tata Advanced Systems, SCD, and with the heavy engineering division of L&T. So the cost was 2.5 crore rupees. The last time in 2016 when we placed the orders for 2 regiments, it was 3,300 crore rupees. The prices had gone up. But obviously it was not only rocket launcher, but also the vehicles part and other things.
The platform and the entire weapon system.
However, the moment you make it guided weapon system is going to be much, much more expensive. So we must be very careful about, when we start demanding more and more of them, all those things will have to be balanced.
Okay, but then that is what the demand of the warfare is presently, to ensure that there is a guided rocket system like this. Let me bring in Dinakar here. Dinakar, General Sivaj pointed out how we began, somewhere in the late 80s to try and have this multi-barrel rocket launcher system. Now, if we look at the timeline and the way we have reached here in 2019, having indigenously developed the guided version of this rocket launcher system and modified as a missile as well. So how would you look at this entire journey?
See, as you rightly pointed out, it began in the 80s, and in the guided one, in fact, the first test of the guided rocket was done in 2017, Jan 2017. So if you actually see like with all major military platform developments, the initial transition takes a bit of time, but subsequent upgrades are much faster. So as we see, in 2 years, 3 years, we have the guided rocket ready. And in fact, what the Mark 1 to now the guided PINAKA brings in is an area weapon, unguided, now gives you a precision capability.
Okay.
So that's where the transition is. See, and effectively with this, the Indian Army and the Indian military and even the political establishment, in the event of, say, a future preemptive strike or the surgical strike scenarios which I've seen over the last few years. So we'll have another option of taking a punitive action or a precision strike without crossing the border at all, which happened in 2016. The army had to go across. Early this year, the Indian fighter jets had to briefly cut into go across the LOC and then come back to deliver their load. Now you have another option, say for launch pads, etc., within a certain 90 kilometers is a considerable standoff distance for you to engage from across the line of control or the border. So Indian Army gets this capability. Yes, it's expensive, as the Brigadier has rightly pointed out. But the point is, in such a scenario, if you're looking at the threat environment which we have in the neighborhood and India's unique situation, this is probably a much cheaper option for you to exercise.
And then gives us a enhanced capability
and
to go ahead and strike deep within the enemy territory.
And it's an indigenous one. It's our system, our companies have built it, and it's again a great example of a private sector partnership which has successfully worked since its inception. Okay,
I'll come to the indigenous aspect and the public-private partnership here as well. But sticking to the need and the positioning of a weapon system like this, a guided one, as Brigadier has pointed out, and General Sivaj, you were also saying how in the artillery we are trying to go ahead and modernize the entire infrastructure. So, in the scheme of things, and if you look at from the end user's perspective, where does the guided PINAK fits?
Vishal, see, 2-3 things stands out very clearly. Once it is a guided, accuracy improves. And range, once it is coming 75 kilometers, 70 to 75 kilometers, it is a tremendous weapon system, potency increase, and it's a game changer. Now, like what we were trying to bring it all, that key, how will it change the complete looking or outlook of Indian Army and Indian artillery? 2-3 things. One is that it is been indigenously manufactured. Now, anything which is indigenously manufactured, you can improve it, and it has a scope of exporting thereafter. Okay. It is something like after BrahMos, this is the weapon PINAKA 2, which there will be a lot of takers. So, one thing is that this weapon system is a game changer. It is indigenously produced by public-private enterprise with L&T and your Tatas. Second thing is that it has got a tremendous accuracy. Earlier version was unguided, it's a guided one now, and therefore the accuracy has increased. Now, third thing which is coming is that in day-to-day line of control, what is happening as on today, you find the infiltration bids are made by the terrorists, and there are posts which are basically trying to aid and abet. Now, wherever it can be utilized in the area which are inside, you find a training area is there about 35 to 40 kilometers, and that is where you find that it requires a punitive action. No, this is a very potent weapon. By 1 kilometer by 800 meters, it can put everything on the ground. So the threat of this weapon itself will be a big enough for a country like Pakistan. Remember that.
Okay.
Therefore, using, not using is in your hand, but without crossing, you can do that. That is a very important thing which is there. The another thing which, this is wrong is that it is not only that all weapon system has to fire together. Even one weapon system that can be also fired, that one launcher can also do, because all launcher have got their separate navigation system. So all 44, in 44 seconds when this weapon system is going, all the 6 launchers are going, not necessarily. 5 can fire at one place, the 6th one can fire the another place, because it has got inbuilt navigation system which is making use of Navic.
Okay.
So this is then it has got also shoot and scoot. It is very difficult to target this weapon system. Third thing is that it is so modernized that it also capable of working in the environment of nuclear weapons environment, NBC environment. So overall, it is fitting into the plan of Indian Army for future, because Indian Army is believing that in future you have to mix of imported and also indigenously produced weapon system. BrahMos as well as PINAKA is your own produced. Now, including you have now copied Dhanush is a copy of Bofors. That again is indigenous. It is only K9 Vajra, self-propelled gun, and M777, which is ultralight Howitzer, which you need for Chinese as well as basically again mountainous terrain against Pakistan, because that weapon system gives you flexibility that it can be now lifted by a Chinook helicopter underslung, and it can go from one valley to another
on the northern
northern border and eastern border. So it is a game changer. That is again thing. Then you did not have a weapon system to basically the armored division and independent RT brigade of the strike corps did not have a RT which was self-propelled and matching capability. You have now got K9 Vajra from South Korea, which is being also collaborated by L&T. So this also manufactured here. Now we will be getting about 6-7 regiment of that. That is 114. We have already 100 of them which we have already signed. So again, that is a game changer. So overall, it is fitting in the modernization plan.
Okay.
And my point is, what I am saying is, the range why you see is that Indian artillery is now basically going for mediumization. So the mediumization of 150 mm caliber. So all guns and rockets will be of 155, so that it is easy to operate and all. Nothing less than that. That's point one.
Okay.
Second thing is the range wise they have gone it, that 40, 70 and all. So it fits into that. You have got Prithvi, Agni, which are also the missile system which is there. Then first Pinaka coming, then coming Prithvi, then coming Agni.
Okay.
So it is covering the whole spectrum.
So
that is what
it's a wide
is a game
spectrum
changer.
of,
And second thing is indigenously manufactured. The cost can be brought down. And another thing is, like BrahMos, it has got a potential market.
Okay. Brigadier Dia.
Now let me just put across 2-3 things before we start considering it as a Brahmastra and an answer to every problem that Indian Army has. Please understand that this weapon system can be employed about 15 to 20 kilometers, at least 15 to 20 kilometers behind the line of contact or behind your, let's say, LC or international boundary.
Okay.
Lesser in LC for the reasons that I conveyed to you, except in certain parts. In south of Pir Panjals, north of it, it's much more difficult. Now, 15 to 20 kilometers behind you do it. So the range, actual range gets reduced by that much.
Okay.
That is one thing we must understand. Second, today's navigation systems and the guidance systems and UAVs provide you that kind of a look inside the enemy territory or the adversary's territory. It provides that. So that's why it becomes easier to use this weapon system. But it's in its employment, with the present kind of ammunition, that is HE only being fragmented HE rounds available, others not being available so far, it can be used only against troop concentration, or logistic areas which have large number of B vehicles, which are soft targets.
Okay.
It cannot, in the present configuration, cannot be effectively used against hard targets like tanks, etc., although it will still kill some soldiers and people around it. And all that. So that's one part. Once the bomblets come in, anti-tank bomblets come in, or the incendiary ammunition also is introduced in due course of time, then probably its effectiveness will increase.
That's the next stage we're talking about.
That's the next stage, and I mean the costs will keep going up, like I said, but then that will be another part of it. Secondly, it has to be kept out of the enemy's counter-action range.
Okay.
Enemy, for example, has A100 rocket systems. American one, which is there with Pakistan. They've also got A-80s from China, which has an 80-kilometer range. Now, when we say 44 seconds and you can fire 12 rockets, very well. And in 4 minutes' time, you can also possibly reload it. All that is fine. But once you have fired the rockets from this system, from one position, you cannot imagine to stay back in that location. You have to get away at a sufficient distance from there that the enemy's counter-attack or counter-weapon firing does not take it. And now that requires very quick reaction, getting away from there, get into a defiled position which cannot be seen from front and cannot be fired upon from front, behind a mound or something like that, or a dug down positions. Now all this, so its employment must be very clearly understood by people, which poses certain restrictions. It's a very potent weapon. It can hit enemies' logistic areas, assembly areas, etc., and subsequently concentration areas. Although enemy will also take action, evasive actions of concentrating only at the last moment, being depressed, dispersed instead of coming together and all that. Avoid concentration, but all the same, we can still make use of it with very effectively for.
So it's in fact a new weapon which we have, and improved one, in fact, if not new, in terms of the guided aspect there as well. And the most important thing, which all of you have mentioned, I'd like to bring Dinakar again on that part, is the indigenous aspect of the technology and the public-private partnership here. Because that's the, in the larger scheme of things, this is what the focus area for us has to be from here onwards. So is this one more example that, yes, this can be done? That is the PPP mode and the indigenously developed technologies.
Absolutely. In fact, much before we talked of, such kind of partnerships or opening up private sector in the defense sector. PINAKA stands as an example because right from the inception, PINAKA, L&T and Tata were in the loop. They were making parts of it along with OFB and of course DRDO. So this collaboration has actually stood the test of time and is now giving certain dividends. In fact, this is actually a good template to replicate and refine it further based on the experiences we have. And just to in a way, probably a carry forward from this is the ATAGS, the advanced heavy artillery gun, which is indigenously being developed. Again, in which Bharat Forge is involved, Bharat Forge and Tata are involved with DRDO and others. It's in advanced stage of testing. Army is happy with the gun, and we should see its induction very soon, probably in a year or so. So yeah, this is a great replication template to follow. This again, other than the BrahMos, because BrahMos, you should remember that it's a foreign collaboration. This is entirely Indian in all sense. Indian research agency, development agency, Indian public sector, Indian private sector. That's the best combination. We want it to fructify in future.
Quick concluding comments, General Shivaj.
Vishal, 2-3 things. As far as this weapon is concerned, it stands out that is totally indigenous. We started sometime long time back in 90s and it took so much time. We should have gone long way. And now Mark II is a game changer. It is not only this, whatever capability we are saying is we can still improve on this. And this Mark III which is coming is 120 collaboration with Israel will be again a thing. And any weapon system which fired will be always vulnerable. The shoot and scoot is your policy. So you will also take a countermeasure. What I have seen it in basically of Vijay, basically that in Kargil war, the tremendous amount of shock action which it has produced was colossal. The Pakistani left the bunkers and ran away. This is the game changer. So the point today is, as far as PINAKA 2 is concerned, with its accuracy and the range, It is a game changer. It is indigenous. We must have a weapon system more like this. Along with BrahMos, it has got export potential.
Okay, so there it is as far as PINAKA Mark II guided rocket system is concerned. As our panelists are pointing out,